Welcome everybody back to boostinmotion, guys, and today we're going to talk about the different Q50 or Q60 you should get in the VR30 twin turbo motor. But before I get into the video, guys, please, this question actually came from my Instagram at boostinmotion, and also you can follow me at boostinmotion on Facebook and send me an email at boostinmotion@gmail.com. But otherwise than that, guys, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so I've been asked this question a lot from my boostinmotion on IG, my boostinmotion on Facebook, and my boostinmotion@gmail.com. If you're going to get a VR30, which one should I buy, Boost? Alright guys, so let me break it down and just recap for some of the people who are new to Infiniti, and also for some of the people who've been around, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Infiniti does this thing where let's take for instance a 2008 G37 Coupe. They had the lower level Journey, and then they had the higher level G37S. This was the sport version, right? What they would like to do for the upsell, the S, the sport version, is this. They'll add a BBK, pretty much bigger brakes. They'll add a different aesthetic look to the car, look a little bit more sportier. And what they'll do is add paddle shifters for the people who have the automatic. And I believe that the 6-speed manuals had an LSD, or they're kind of a version of an LSD. But necessarily the sport version wasn't any more faster. Some of you guys may jump in and say, what about the IPL? IPL was just a slightly better tune, and the exhaust they tweaked a little bit. Rather than it being the way it is, they had an H pattern exhaust. But that's about it, and added 10 horsepower. Alright, so knowing this, Infiniti has always done this. So they applied the same type of chemistry to the VR30 world. Let me break it down. So some of you guys are going to want to ask me, well, I want to get a Red Sport, and the Red Sport has 400 horsepower. That's the one I want to get because it's the fastest one. I always want to buy the fastest one. Well, that's perfectly fine, and I understand that because when I was looking to get one, I wanted to get the Red Sport too. But then I waited, did my research, saw what people were purchasing, and I found out Infiniti likes to continue to screw us over as customers. Now, hear me out. Let me break it down for you guys. Usually when you have the upsell version for other car manufacturers, they'll make the upsell version the better version all the way around, right? So, for instance, you have a Hellcat, you have a 392, you have a V6. The upsell is a Hellcat. Makes sense, correct? But let's go a little bit more deeper into it. So, Boost, what are you telling me now? So that means that the Red Sport has better turbos? No. Bigger turbos? No. It has the same exact turbos you get on the 3.0T. But haven't you spoke about the optical sensors? The optical sensors pretty much reads how fast the turbines are spinning. Pretty much that's like a fail-safe or a better way of monitoring its turbos. Well, that must means it can add more power. No, it just reads it. It doesn't give it any more power. Okay, but that means it protects the motor, and that's a good thing. You know what? That's fine. I give you guys that. But let's continue. Please, Red Sport owners, don't get mad at me. Let's just continue. Alright, so that means that the Red Sport has 400 horsepower and the regular ones have 300 horsepower. That means that the motor should be beefier. Unfortunately, no. It's the same exact motor. Infiniti didn't make that motor any more beefier than the 3.0T. It's the same exact motor. If your motor goes today, they'll give you the same motor. There's no different part number. Wow. Boost, are you really telling me this? Yes, it's the same exact motor. Alright, so it has more power. That means they have to have a better transmission to handle this power. Well, let me break it down a little bit. If you guys know about the Red Sports and the 3.0T Sports, there's an option called Sport Plus mode. This Sport Plus mode pretty much changes up the gearing or how firmness the gear shifts are, and pretty much how good the line pressure is. It pretty much ups the line pressure in transmission, right? But that's all it really does. But it doesn't make the transmission any more better or beefier. No. So yes, you have the same exact transmission. Okay, but the 3.0T has it, which is nice, yes. But the Luxe and the Premium just has regular sport mode. That's fine. Okay, Boost, so you told me about the engine, transmission, and turbos. Alright, what else is the difference? Okay, so you have the Red Sports. The Red Sports also have the sports front bumper, but you can also get that on the 3.0T. Unfortunately. That's the sportier version. Okay, Boost, but you're really not telling me something I need as concrete. I want to know the biggest difference. Alright, let's move on a little bit farther. The Red Sports, here's a plus for you guys, have a shorter final drive gear ratio. So pretty much, the Red Sports, if you have the same exact tune, the Red Sports should edge out the 3.0T and the 3.0T Sports because it has a shorter final drive. That is definitely a big plus. Okay, so that means also it should have a limited slip. No, Infiniti showed us and did not give us limited slip on any of these models. They use the ABS system to pretty much like torque vector it. So no, we still have, all of our cars have open differentials in the back. unfortunately. I hope I don't get a cease and desist for this. But all right, boo. So what else are you telling me? Like what is exclusive to Red Sports and make them the better buy? Well, you can also get the Red Sport wheels, but you can also get those Red Sport wheels on the, I believe the earlier 3.0Ts for the Q50s, and also the earlier Q60s 3.0T Sports. But unfortunately, I think they changed it up after 2018 and gave a different set of wheels for the Q50s, and also I believe for the Q60s they have like the 20-inch option, whatever the case might be. But no, necessarily you don't really get anything necessarily different with the Red Sport when it comes to wheels entire package. Now, there is another option when we talk about suspension. It's called Dds Suspension. This is digital dynamic suspension. It's like a watered down mag ride, right? This watered down mag ride is only in the 3.0T Sports that comes with that option, and the Red Sports, unfortunately. That's it. So necessarily they're still putting the same components from the Red Sport in the 3.0T. The premiums and the luxes aren't getting pretty much none of these options, guys. So I just want to know, for the Lux and Premium guys and Signature guys watching, I believe the Signature Edition 2, you guys are not getting these options. So you have the regular BBK, the 17 or 18-inch wheel option. You don't have necessarily all this stuff. So let's just continue a little bit more, because you guys really asked me this question. All right, so what about cooling? What about like cooling itself for the car? All right, so let's break it down. The Red Sports have 2 heat exchanger pumps. This is for the turbos to bring down the charged air temps that goes into the motor. But the 3.0T and the rest, the Lux and Premiums, only have 1 heat exchanger pump. So unfortunately, no, we don't have as good cooling for keeping the heat exchangers a little cooler. But based on tests, it seems like the better heat exchanger, the 2 exchanger pumps work a lot better. But it's not necessarily something really needed on an extensive level because of the power levels. Okay, cool. So what else, Boost? What else are you gonna tell me? Well, the Red Sport and the 3.0Ts also have an air-cooled oil cooler. This is for the engine oil. So this actually brings down the engine oil temperature, which is also pretty good. But unfortunately, it's also in the 3.0T Sports too. So. And we don't have that on the Luxes, and we don't have that on the Premiums in the Signature Edition. So necessarily, they are still doing pretty good. The 3.0T and the Red Sports are still looking really good as a really good buy. All right, so what else can you really tell me that's gonna make this Red Sport a whole lot better and different than the rest of the models? Well, for the 2018, and I believe a little bit before that, I think it's 2018, they started adding a checkered seats to checkered seats to the Q50 for the Red Sports, just to give it a nicer interior to kind of differentiate itself. But that's about it. That is about it. There's really necessarily no difference. You know, at least in the Q60 they gave you like a red seat option, but also the 3.0T Q60s have that too. But they didn't give Q50s any exclusive anything really for the Red Sports. So Boost, you're telling me straight up, honest and open, because you guys are asking me this question, that Infiniti is short selling its consumer? Necessarily. Not really. Here's why I say this. Because the Red Sports have a better upsell value. It's the top of the line, so they're going to be more expensive if you want to buy it and resell it. So it holds value a little bit better. But at the end of the day, that's all the Red Sports really have. I honestly gotta sit there and say. So Boost, okay, so if you're talking about that, what car would you buy? Well, if I was gonna buy a car to keep and not modify, get the Red Sports, because I think it's just all in all the better car. Just being honest with you. But if you're gonna purchase this car to, let's say for instance, modify it and do pretty much make it faster, I would aim for the 3.0T Sport. Reason being is it has almost all the same packaging that comes in a Red Sport for a cheaper price. They're all going to make the same exact power, no matter if you're Luxe, Premium, Signature Edition, 3.0T, or Red Sport. They're all going to make the same amount of power. And also on top of that, it just, to me, I want the best bang for my buck. Okay, Boost, but like you're like an Android owner or whatever the case might be. You have an Android, so you wouldn't understand. I have an iPhone. Yes, I understand that. And it's not that an iPhone is not good, and it's not like Android is not good. At the end of the day, people want to buy the best that's on the market. I understand that. But, and don't come at me, but it's Infiniti that's underselling you guys, like, or I would say, yeah, underselling you guys, and pretty much not giving you guys the complete different type of driving experience you really should get, especially when you modify the car. Yeah, stock, it's nice. I give it to stock versus stock, but modified, there's really no sense of getting a red sport over just a regular 3.0T, unless it comes to creature comforts. So what about, to bring it to a close, like, so what about the luxes and the premium and signature editions? What about us? Like, like, should we stay with our cars, or should we get the upper value? Well, let me just put this in this video. If you are watching this video, that means you probably like to modify your car and do small modifications and keep it clean and have a good driving experiences. No matter if you're getting a JB4 or getting a full-fledged tone, at the end of the day, the numbers and the look is what brought you over here. So honestly, this is what I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is what you should do. There's plenty. The market is big, very big market. If you worried about getting bigger brakes, you can always purchase these brakes off of a third-party vendor. These brakes have been out since 2008 on G37, 370Zs, and they're just everywhere. It's relatively affordable and cheap to install. So, 1. 2, when it comes to the rear diff, don't really worry about it because you can always alleviate that with a different tire size. 3, with the heat exchanger, extra heat exchanger pump, you can always purchase the pump from a hit or wrecked red sport, or there's gonna probably be a few options in the future where you can actually add a secondary water pump that's for relatively cheap rather than getting a red sport. So that's still another thing. It's gonna be plug and play. That's still another thing that's probably gonna happen with one of these companies that's gonna come out. Okay, so what about the engine oil cooler? You can also probably purchase that from third party or directly from Infiniti. From when I looked it up, it's like $600–700 option, but you can also add that. It bolts right up. Okay, so what about everything else? What about the paddle shifters? Well, unfortunately, for like the 2018 and up, from what I remember, you really can't add the paddles because the paddles come on the steering wheel. But for the 2016 and 2017s, there's still a way to buy an engine harness and add the paddle shifters that go in the column. So that still could be alleviated. All right, so what about the Dds suspension? Well, at this current moment, no one has swapped over to the Dds suspension, the digital dynamic suspension, but you can also just get coilovers. That's really it. Or some people like to get springs. I'm not a springs guy, but you could just get coilovers. All right, so pretty much you just gave us all the answers to make our car better. Okay, what about the looks? Well, you can always, right now on eBay, I hate to use it, but eBay is one of the best places to go because they have still good quality parts, and you can purchase a front end, a front sport bumpers right off of eBay casting for relatively $500–600 that come in good quality that you can have repainted to have the same look. Everything swaps over except for the grill and some of the bottom bezel, but they sell that stuff for relatively cheap. Okay, so Boost, what you're telling me is I can make my Lux look like a sport. Yes, for relatively cheap if you really want to do it. Honestly, without having to buy the 10 or $5 or $6 to $10,000 more if you're buying it used, or pay $100 to $150 more a month. It's really up to you, depending on your credit. But to be quite honest with you guys, this is just me making this video on what you guys necessarily should do and what car you should purchase. So to bring this to a close, you guys are gonna ask Boost, if you were gonna do it again, what car would you purchase? Well, I chose a car. Well, technically, I have a 3.0T Sport, but I didn't opt for the Sport packaging, so I don't have the BBK, the paddles, and I do not have the extra oil cooler. Whatever. I mean, I don't have the air cooler because it's still necessary a Lux. But if I was gonna do it again, I would get a 3.0T Sport. Yes, 3.0T Sport. Buy it or lease it. 3.0T Sport with the Sport packaging. You get all the looks. I don't necessarily care for the diamond stitch pattern on the seats, and I don't necessarily care for the secondary heat exchanger pump. I would just literally stay with that and that only, and I'll be perfectly fine with that, knowing that I'm modifying the car. All right, so what if you're not modifying the car? What would you get? I would get the red Sport. So otherwise than that, guys, you can contact me at boostinmotion on Facebook, Instagram, and also contact me at boostinmotion@gmail.com. If you like videos like this, please hit like. I appreciate this. Like, if you're mad at me about this video, comment below. Infiniti, if you're watching, listen, you got to make these red Sports better. The upsell has to be better. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop giving people the base motor and then also putting the same base motor in the red Sport. Make that car a better car. Do something like what Audi did. They have an S7 and they have an RS7. The RS7 has bigger turbos. It's better. So do that. Follow that chemistry. That makes people want to stay, because once they get that, they get the sour mouth knowing that they pretty much kind of in a way didn't get the better car in a way. it makes them feel sour against the brand. So otherwise than that, guys, this is BoostinMotion signing out. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thank you guys. You have a good day.